Hello everyone, I'm rpggamer16 and another year has come to a close. So it's time for another end of the year video for this YouTube channel. What I do here is that I talk about all the games I played in 2017, what I love about them, and pick what my pick for best game of 2017 is. I will show video footage of everything, but I will keep it spoiler free, and I won't be able to show every game I played because of some circumstances, but I hope you enjoyed the video anyway. Well, here we go. First is The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild is one of the launch titles for the Nintendo Switch. It's also the first new game I played this year. It's about Link waking up from a 100-year slumber and is on a journey to remember his past, reclaiming the four great beasts, and defeating Calamity Ganon, who has taken over a more rustic Hyrule. This entry in the series breaks some traditions from the usual Zelda games. It has a more open world structure, seamless exploration, and it feels more like a journey of survival, as you cross a gorgeous landscape of forests, deserts, mountains, and islands. As you play, you can collect different kinds of weapons to fight bad guys, ingredients and items for cooking or trading, climb almost any surface for easy traveling, glide through the skies in a glider, and solve ancient shrines to obtain special orbs to make Link stronger. This game was a great way to start the year and a great start for the Nintendo Switch. I love the story, I love the art style, I loved exploring the world of Hyrule and discovering new things, and I love the many quests and side stuff you can do. At times it is overwhelming, but this does make Zelda a good boredom killer, like if you wanted to just do a few quests to pass the time. Overall, I think Breath of the Wild is an awesome, refreshing take on The Legend of Zelda, and one of the games I highly recommend you give a try. Nier Automata is a sequel to the original Nier that released back in 2010. It has part hack and slash, part RPG, part railgun, and part bullet hell gameplay. It is a very weird, surprising video game that fascinates and destroys you as you play through the sad but beautiful story. It takes place in a distant future, where humanity has retreated to the moon in order to escape from an alien faction bent on destroying the world. So the humans form a group called Yoha and create androids in order to fight back against the aliens and the mysterious machine faction. The story is very depressing, but how it's told makes it very special. My favorite thing about Automata is the combat. You can play as 3 different Yoha units and equip them with weapons to fight other machines in frantic, high-paced fighting. I absolutely love the rush and adrenaline you feel when you get into a fight. You can continuously slice and dice through enemies in a seamless fury of attacks. And if you can dodge enemy attacks just at the right time, you can counterattack, dealing even more damage. I get so into the battles, particularly the boss fights, that while I play it, I can't help but hold my breath during combat, and as soon as it finishes, I breathe out and feel a sense of satisfaction. I never got tired of combat, and that's what made Automata so much fun for me. I also love the soundtrack. Keiichi Okabe and his team of composers and lovely singers hit another home run, with epic, incredible songs that added a lot of tension and made playing the game very dynamic. I also like how they designed the world of Nier Automata. We got city ruins, deserts, forests, and abandoned factories to name a few, and they look great. There are some graphical shortcomings, but what they did is stunning. If you plan to play in Nier Automata at some point, I must let you know that it'll look like the game is short after maybe 9 hours of playing, but there's multiple endings in Nier Automata, so if you replay the game, you'll see new things happen, and it gives you a reason to play through the game more than once. So make sure you play Automata more than once to get the whole experience. If you do, then you'll have a great time. Nier Automata is an excellent game with so much to love about it. I hope you're ready for Yoko Taro's wild ride if you do play this. This will be a short review since I don't have a 3DS capture card and can't show gameplay of this. But in April, I got Mario Sports Superstar. I got this hoping I'll have a fun time with it playing the sports games and playing with friends online and off. However, I didn't get that. In Mario Sports Superstars, you play 5 different sports games with the Mario cast: baseball, soccer, tennis, golf, and horse riding. I like that we have these cool various sports games and they are fun, but they feel so generic and typical to play. Like, this is a Mario game, and people expect Mario silliness when you play the sports games. Instead, this is just a sports classic with the Mario series coat of paint. I would have been fine keeping the game if I could play with others, but no one I knew wanted to play, so I was pretty disappointed with this game, honestly. Seriously, this should have been a Nintendo Switch title. However, if you love the Mario series and enjoy the sports games, then don't let my words steer you from not getting it, because it's a pretty enjoyable concept of sports games with an awesome soundtrack, if you don't mind how generic they are.
Anytime. Just watch your distance.
Show me your true form!
Persona 5. This video game is a Japanese RPG by Atlas, and it is one of the most standout games I've played this year. You play as a high school student who is put on probation and moves to Tokyo, Japan and enroll in its high school. The world has become a toxic and dangerous world resembling a prison full of slavery, oppression, and injustice ruled by corrupted and twisted adults. So you team up with other students who have suffered from these rules and become the Phantom Thieves, thanks to the awakened powers of the persona and the ability to traverse through the metaverse. I promise I won't say or so anymore about the plot. You'll have to play the game yourself to see how amazing of a story it is. The gameplay has you exploring Tokyo, Japan, and live dual lives. By day, you're a student working a part-time job and forming partnerships through confidants, and by night, you're a Phantom Thief who traverses through dungeons in the metaverse created through the minds of the most rotten, evil adults who represent one of the 7 deadly sins. These dungeons aren't like past Persona games. They are more varied and each feel very different from the others. I love invading a castle and solving medieval puzzles. I love playing the role of art thieves and sneaking past museum security measures. Heck, you even infiltrate a bank full of money and guard dogs. I love how each dungeon has you playing as a different kind of thief. Fighting shadows and bosses in Persona 5 is a lot of fun too. The mechanics are easy to grasp, but deep and take a lot to master. As the Joker, you have the power to control multiple personas by negotiating with rogue shadows, or fusing personas with the help of Igor and the Twin Wardens. The entire game can be challenging and requires a lot of grinding and preparations, but I played through the game on normal without much grinding and I did good. Changing your personas is a good way to find ways to beat tough fights too. What really made me love the game is its overall presentation. The graphics pop with color, jaw-dropping special effects, and amazing character and monster designs. The soundtrack is an amazing earworm of acid jazz that I love listening to in loops even when I'm not playing the game. Seriously, I can't get Last Surprise out of my head. Finally, the plot's concept of breaking free from slavery really moved me. Even if the characters aren't as lovable as Persona 4's casts, it's my favorite storyline out of any game this year. Persona 5 is an amazing JRPG with arguably the best story, gameplay, and music, and I can't wait to see what Atlas does with the series in the future.
Round 1. Fight.
Tekken VII, the newest entry in the series, is finally released on current-gen consoles. When I first got it, I was super excited to play. However, as I keep playing it, I noticed that it has lost all the heart and fun the other games had. 2 or 3 years of waiting, and all we got was a Tekken with little content. No survival mode, no team battles, no ghost battles, underwhelming customization items, no replay mode. This game lacks a lot of modes that the other games had that it makes playing the game a letdown for me. Treasure battles don't count because each fight you win only gets you a few treasures, and unless you're lucky, you won't get the stuff you actually want. The online mode is hit or miss too, because sometimes our matches suddenly start lagging or we get random disconnections. The story mode wasn't very interesting either, for me anyway. It would have been good if all the character episodes had more cutscenes or more fights. It's disappointing that the Mishima story had more focus than everyone else. I'm not a competitive person. I don't want to just play online with players. I want to play single-player game modes, get lots of find money, and unlock new stages, costumes, or characters. Instead, we got an incomplete package that constantly needs updating because the developers were too lazy or rather get games out as soon as possible to completely finish all parts of the game before releasing it. I mean, playing the game is a lot of fun and it looks great. In fact, the only reason I'm playing this is because they made King a stronger and more fun fighter. I just wish that they would stop releasing fighting games with little content at first and slowly update and add more to it through online updates. Something that people without internet will miss out. This is why Tekken VII has been one of the biggest disappointments for me this year. After that disappointing video game, the next game I got was something that completely renewed my interest in the Tales series. Tales of Brasilia is a JRPG I played and did a video series for YouTube. This is not your typical cheery, lighthearted Tales game. Brasilia is something that explores the dark emotions in human hearts. You play as Velvet, a woman who becomes a demon and is bent on getting revenge on a man who destroyed her life. The story gets better and interesting from there as you meet more characters and learn how the sad, hopeless world works. This is actually a prequel to Zestiria. I never played it, but I know Zestiria's story, so playing Brasilia made me notice that it filled the plot holes Zestiria had. So, if you're a story nut, I recommend playing Brasilia first, then Zestiria next. Combat in Brasilia is arguably my favorite way to play a Tales game now. It's fast, responsive, and fun where you get lots of arts, skills, and learn how to chain your attacks to perform combos. You gotta expose your enemy's weaknesses to fully utilize the mechanics you're given. Like soul breaks, which act like combo extensions, or perform effects to help the party, or mystic arts to deal heavy damage. Enemy variety and great music helps keep battles fun throughout the adventure, even though sometimes the frame rate aid chunks a little. Some enemies have a ton of XP and deal insane amounts of damage, which can be frustrating and tedious, but like I say, preparing and using the right arts help. As great of a game it is, exploring the areas, dungeons, and cities can be kinda boring. You gotta do lots of running and backtracking, and it doesn't help that fast travel is disabled sometimes. Despite boring exploration, I love Tales of Brasilia for its story and combat. If they can keep this pace up, I bet the Tales series will recover from its declining quality in recent years. Two years later, and we already get a sequel to the freshest, funnest third-person shooting game out there. Platoon 2 improves a lot on what made the original so much fun and then some, adding new weapons, maps, music, a new story campaign, and new music, and new modes. It continues to evolve 5 months later. This is one of the funnest multiplayer games I've ever played this year. I love the functions of the new weapons, sub-weapons, and special weapons, especially the dualies. I love the feel of the motion controls more than I did the Wii U version, thanks to the Joy-Cons being lighter and easier to keep steady. I love the catchy new soundtrack, and I just love how fast and intense playing the game is. Turf Wars, Splat Zones, Tower Control, Rainmaker, and even the latest game mode, Clan Blitz. They're a ton of fun playing and going for high ranks, money, new gear abilities, and leveling up is excellent motivation to keep playing. The only sleeper though is the campaign. Not that it was bad, but for me it was pretty boring. I played Splatoon for the multiplayer, but if you like single player content, then the campaign is pretty fun. The levels have a lot of variety and helps you learn how each of the weapon types work. The boss fights are fun and give off a Super Mario feel to them, and finding all the collectibles and clearing every stage with every weapon is a good incentive to play it more than once. Not for me though, I just like to compete in multiplayer modes with friends and have a good time. Splatoon 2 is another excellent multiplayer game that I can see myself playing for a very long time.
This match will get red hot. Here goes.
This is one of the biggest surprises for me this year. Cuphead is a video game that at first I wasn't interested, but as they continued showing more of the game, I eventually decided to get it. And man, am I glad I did. Cuphead is an incredible representation of 1930s cartoons, with a gorgeous art style, old-timey sound effects, and a masterful composed soundtrack of big band's ass. The game plays like a run-and-gun shooting game, but the big focus is boss fights. You must defeat your adversaries and gather their soul contracts after making a bet with the devil. The story is simple, and there are a lot of goofy, over-the-top characters that give inspiration to other memorable characters, like Mickey Mouse, Porky Pig, Popeye, and even Tom and Jerry. But if you want to play this, then be warned! This game is very, very hard. I'm talking random as heck and unpredictably hard. There are pattern learning, but the tricky part in playing this is how random the patterns can be, which leads to frustrating deaths. However, even if you get sick with it, then the boss fights are a ton of fun to play. Each of them play differently and requires different ways and use of your guns and charms to play. The game is short, but there is a hard mode and extra surprises if you can play the game in certain ways. Cuphead is one of the best games I played this year. It made me laugh, scream, and shout with joy as I played it. If they can make Cuphead into a series, then it would be the best thing ever. Super Mario Odyssey is the newest Mario game for the Nintendo Switch. Mario teams up with new character Cappy and goes on a quest around the world to rescue his sister Tiara and Princess Peach from Bowser's clutches once again. First of all, I love that we finally have an open sandbox Mario game again. You have so much freedom to jump around, grab coins, do platform challenges, and collect hundreds of moons. It's staggering how many moons are hidden in each of the kingdoms you explore. In fact, after you finish the main part of the game, you unlock even more moons and challenges to play. This is probably one of the biggest Mario platform games yet, which isn't a bad thing. I love dashing and hopping through all the kingdoms, which are gorgeously designed. The best thing about Mario is the possession mechanic thanks to Cappy. You can take control of certain enemies or objects and have new ways to explore the kingdoms or collect moons. Discovering new moons, areas, or enemies to possess always put a smile on my face. I always like talking with the many characters too, because they often help you by giving him hints to moon locations, or give you fun minigames or challenges to take on. There are nearly endless possibilities to play Mario Odyssey, and it's such a delight to play the game. It's become my favorite Mario game ever now, and the biggest reason why I got off the Nintendo Switch in the first place. Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I have so much to say about this game. The game is about a young salvager who becomes a driver of a powerful blade, and they make a promise to go on a journey and find Elysium, a land of salvation. The world of Xenoblade 2 is huge, with tons to see and do, and the story that follows is just as epic as the first Xenoblade. My favorite thing about it is the fantastic battle system and soundtrack. Not to mention, I love how convenient it is to play this anywhere I want, thanks to it being a Nintendo Switch title. I want to say that it's one of the best games I've ever played. However, there are times where I wish that they could have taken more time to improve things, like voice acting, area navigation, and not putting parts where we are possibly forced to grind in order to get through certain parts of the story. Despite its problems though, Xenoblade 2 is another awesome game, and will be one of the most memorable video games I've played in a long time.
Challenge a king is to face the might of his people. By the knight's oath, I shall fight to my last breath. Who will come out on top? Ready. Fight!
Remember when I said I wish fighting game developers would stop releasing incomplete games with little content or polish? Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is another game that fits this category. Although once it added some new characters like Black Panther, that made me really want to play the game once it was on sale. It may not have an underwhelming character roster, it may not have a lot of modes, and it may have an awful story mode, but it does have some things that I really like about it: a fast and fun combat system, a sort of helpful training mode and missions to learn how to play the characters, and decent unlockables. Despite its questionable presentation, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite is another fun entry in the series that I can still enjoy playing from time to time. But if you plan to get it, wait for it to get a big price drop or on sale. Don't pay full price for an incomplete package.
Witness the power of a king. I fight for Valhalla! The weight on my shoulders gives me strength.
Last game on the list is Nico GC. This is something that I've never thought I would play, but after watching a friend play it and seeing how entertaining the story is, I decided to play this. You play as a college student who suddenly has the power to see spirits. Now he has 3 cat spirits following around asking him for help. This is a visual novel on Steam, where depending on your choices, you can have multiple endings and end up with one of these spirits. I think they did a pretty good job with this game. I like the story, the art style, the music, and the multiple paths. I can honestly say that if you're someone that likes a good visual novel, give this game a try. It's free to play on Steam. Okay, that is all the new games of 2017 that I played. And now you may be wondering, what is my favorite game this year? Well, first let me tell you why I picked this game. For me to pick a video game of the year, that video game has to have really good production value, a lot of replay value, many memorable moments for me, and a game that I just love playing repeatedly and would never get tired of. And one game came to mind for me. So, my pick for Game of 2017 is... That's right, it's Persona 5. When I first played this, I was blown away with how incredible it looked, sounded, and played. I spent my entire free time just playing through the game, playing through the dungeons, doing almost anything I could do, and just enjoyed the game so much. The story, the characters, the music, the gameplay. This entire game I just loved to bits, despite some of its shortcomings. But it's a video game that I would want to replay just for the fun of it. And that is why Persona 5 is my pick for Game of 2017.